Cancer, greetings and salutations, my friends. You are most welcome here. Today we are doing the 5-card movie star spread, and if you're unfamiliar with this spread or you've forgotten how it works, I put the placement of each card in the description box below. There's room for new growth in your life. There's high potential and low resolution for a new passionate endeavor, right? So what I mean by that is the potential to create something, the potential of growth is right there at your fingertips, but it has to be processed through a framework. Okay. It hasn't become anything yet. And as you process it through a framework, and this is where most people get nervous, it can't be that pretty picture that you painted in your head, right? There are going to be flaws and there are going to be things that you have to work across. But the potential is there, and it looks to me like you're going to capitalize on it. It looks to me like you are going to give the time and energy that you need back to yourself. A lot of people look at the Six of Cups as a card of past and nostalgia. I actually sometimes look at it as a card of healing that inner child, right? So there is no new growth without discomfort. And it feels like you've already had that uncomfortable time. So now is the time to recognize why you had to go through it. And it's time to reframe the lessons that you learned in order to heal the pains of the past and make a lesson out of them. And because of that, you get the legacy card, which is all about abundance in, well, resources, basically. And resources can be health, they can be wealth, they can be time management, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean you're rich because of this. It means that you have a new resource in abundance. A subset of time management could even be who you spend your time with. You might find that you're finding a lot of potential growth and healing by spending your time with a particular person. And now you have more time to spend with them. Okay. What you're putting aside is it's like in the past you were tricking yourself. Okay. And constantly juggling these resources and thinking to yourself, well, I can't do this if I do that. So you were making the choices of one or the other, one or the other. And that was only a game that you were playing in your head, because now what you recognize is you can have both at the same time. You just had to do it a different way. So you didn't think, you didn't think that you had the resources to get what it was you wanted. And actually, they were there all the time. It was how you spent your resources that wasn't making sense. So it's kind of like you have a certain, let's say you have a certain amount of income, right? And you have an expense coming up. And you're like, oh, I have to plan for this expense. You don't have any more income coming in. So what do? You look at where you're spending your money and you make sacrifices on that. So in the past, you were always making those sacrifices for these other things, but something has come in and made it so you no longer have to sacrifice. You might be actually getting a little bit more income. You might actually be figuring out a little bit more time. Maybe somebody who really, really meant something to you has moved closer, or maybe their time has freed up and they can work around your schedule. Do you see where I'm going with that? You have an abundance that you didn't have before, and it's helpful, and you're working through some things because you now have this new energy, this new resource in your life. I really feel strongly that this is spending time with a particular person. I feel like that's the abundance and the resource that you have. But I don't know, it could be actual finances. What do I know? I'm just a card reader. So it seems to me like Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I'm not a believer, but I'm not an expert on the law of attraction. But for people who really believe in the law of attraction, it feels like you got here by letting go of the outcome. You see, because you're not tricking yourself anymore and you're not juggling anymore and you're not constantly nurturing your resources. You aren't really going with, well, you're not going on a journey of solitude right now. That's what I get from this. And you're not focusing on what you don't have, right? So it kind of feels like you let go of the outcome. That's what I get from these three things together. Is you let go of the outcome and you stop nitpicking on yourself, so to speak. And once you stop doing that, you recognized, oh, well, I have more resources. I have people who can assist me. I have someone to talk to. I have this. So when I talk about ACEs, I always say that it's high potential and low resolution. So when I get an ACE in the inverse, what that tells me is it's high resolution and low potential, which tells me that this healing process that you have, because we're talking about cups now instead of wands, okay? Passionate new growth, passionate new endeavor, you have abundance in it. But what it's doing in the process is that you are actually processing your emotions, which is something you weren't doing before. So you were focused on the physical and the tangible, all right? And it had your emotions all stirred up. But now that you're actually processing your emotions, this is starting to open up. I guess, I don't know. I know about the law of attraction, but I'm not a practicer of it, and I kind of feel like a card reader who's more familiar with the law of attraction would have a better way of saying what I'm saying because I'm really a novice when it comes to this thing, and I don't want to pretend like I know it all. But I do know that when you start to let go of particular outcomes, things get better, okay? Because it's kind of like it's the difference between picking up a bow and arrow for the first time and trying to hit a bullseye, and picking up a bow and arrow for the first time and being like, well, I hope I can just get it somewhere near the board. Do you see what I mean? And when you're aiming for just the board and not that particular bullseye, chances are you'll be a little bit happier with the outcome overall. So although you're kind of getting something you want, how do I put it? You're getting what you want, you're just not getting it the way that you expected. But now that it's coming in, you're like, oh, okay. So it's not this overwhelming, joyous thing, but it's this understanding of, okay, I had to sacrifice a little bit, but things are still going in a good direction. That's what I'm trying to say, Cancer. So I hope you found a message that transition, go figure. I hope that you found a message that serves your highest good. And I wish you luck with this transition because it sounds like as long as you don't focus on a very specific outcome and you just kind of meander in this general direction, then you'll get what it is that you need. I hope you found a message that serves your highest good, and I'll see you next time.